We're thankful for a good report from our son in Tampa, Florida, where there was no loss of power and no property damage. There's lots of flooding in the area, but nothing significant. We're also thankful for his friends in Jacksonville who also were spared any major damage. And we do know that there are lots of people in the path of the storm that have suffered damage already or that will. And so we want to continue to pray for all of those in the path and those that have already had damage done. We've been looking at the chronological Bible, and we've been looking at the fact that the Queen of Sheba has heard all about Solomon, and she's heard too many tremendous reports about his kingdom and his wisdom, and she's come to test him with hard questions and to see exactly what he is really like and what his kingdom is really like. And when she gets done with all of her hard questions and all of her examination of the kingdom, she comes to the conclusion that God has really blessed Solomon and has really placed him in that leadership position. And she says she found things even better than she had heard. Well, that's a good report, isn't it? And she brings him 9,000 pounds of gold, and tells us that there was lots of spices that she brought as well. But it also tells us that Solomon gave her more than she gave him. And as we look at the kingdom of Solomon, we find that by this time he has amassed 1,400 chariots, 12,000 horses, 4,000 stalls for the horses. He has a great army. He has won the allegiance of many of the kings in the area who are willing to sit under his leadership, even up as far as the Euphrates. And we know that his wisdom has brought about great safety, security, and prosperity, not only to Solomon, but also to all of his people. And that leads us into the major application that I want to apply today, and that is, in times of peace, prosperity, we need to be very careful that we don't walk away from God thinking we don't need him anymore. That we have no need of him, that we can do it on our own because we are already having prosperity and peace. And that's what the old sin cycle is about. It's the fact that we get careless when we're in prosperous times, and we become too not careful about walking away from him and drifting away from him till we get into the muck and mire, and then God in his graciousness reaches down and pulls us out until we finally start to reach prosperity again. And when we do, we start to get careless about thinking we don't need him. So here's the application. Today in America, we have probably one of the best times of peace and prosperity that we've ever had. And yet, America seems to be wandering further and further away from God. What about you? Are you wandering further and further away from God? Have you forgotten how desperate your need is for him? You see, I believe with all of my heart that when we reach the time of prosperity and peace, even more we ought to live in an attitude of gratitude. We ought to draw close to him, and we ought to praise him and give thanksgiving for all that he's given to us. So I hope you'd examine today all that you're blessed with, and that you'll have an attitude of gratitude, and that you will definitely draw closer to him instead of drifting away from him and falling away. And I think that the next section that we're going to be looking at is the fact that Solomon wrote 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs, and we're going to be looking at some of those. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.